Hello, hello, and welcome to the most recent or the newest episode of Public Disservice. Sorry, it takes a little bit of getting used to it, and thank you so much for sticking around. I have mentioned on Instagram last week that because of some technical difficulties, we weren't able to release an episode last Wednesday, but we are back now, and hopefully we're back for good. And I'm super excited to have you listen to this episode today. However, having said that, I have realized as I was working out why the sound is so low on this new episode. I realized is because I forgot to plug the mics into the computer, into the laptop. So it's not the proudest moment of my life. It's not one of the proudest moments in a while. Um, got pretty upset, pretty annoyed with it because the conversation that you're still going to listen to, because I've tried to up the volume and it does seem like there is clarity to it. It's just such a good episode. I think it has been such an amazing conversation to have with Jonathan that I genuinely just did not feel good about wasting. And so, yeah, you'll be listening to that. I hope you're gonna enjoy it as much as possible, as much as we enjoyed recording it. And I will give you a couple of updates about shows and life before we dive in. Just because again, I'm aware you haven't heard from me for 2 weeks. It's gonna be 2 weeks now. I've been gigging a lot. Well, not a lot. I've been gigging enough. I've been doing a couple of shows. I've actually the a lot part. It's kind of gone away because I've decided a while back that I won't do any gigs that don't bring any value to my basically either experience or credentials, and that's kind of filtered out some of the gigs that I'm doing. But I've also been super busy with the university work. I had my first few exams last week and the week before, and I've got one more coming on Thursday, which I'm a bit nervous about because it's going to be perhaps the hardest of the exams. Is a maths exam, and then after that, there's going to be a Christmas break, which I'm looking forward to because I want to relax. Um, so I've been busy with that. I've also kind of like, I don't know, I wasn't sick, like ill, but I did feel like I've been dabbling around a cold of some sort or a flu. I had quite a bit of like muscle sores, and I've been feeling very tired recently. I'm actually seeing a doctor on Wednesday morning, and sorry, actually, I've seen a doctor last week. On Wednesday morning, I'm going to get a blood test done just to make sure that there is no problem in that field, and obviously I'll keep you posted. I feel like that's pretty much it. And now, without any further ado, I will let you enjoy my conversation with Jonathan, and I'll catch you later. So, Jonathan, how's it going?
All good, Levy. Really good to see you. I'm excited to be on your podcast finally.
Finally,
Dreaming of this.
really? No.
No.
Actually, they did say yes, but we just no. I'm joking. He didn't. He said no. Well, thank you for doing this. I'm super excited to have you on. How was your? I guess let's start from there. Like, how was your commute here?
Commute here was all fine. It was all good. Two trains, Northern Line and Central Line. Um, I think traveling on the tube in the morning, I'm always up for.
Okay.
I'm always up for that. After 10 a.m., I don't want to get on the tube. It's too busy.
Really?
Very.
Because I thought like peak time, I hate it in the like in the morning when it's peak
Rush hour
time, like
one.
yeah, 8 to 9. That's when I hate it. And after that and before, I'm up for it. But
Okay.
also in the weekends, I think it's different as well.
Weekends a bit different, but you know,
Yeah.
I always think even if it's rush hour Monday to Friday, or not as busy on the mornings in the weekend, I think if even if it's in rush hour, I just feel like I'm going somewhere important.
All right. Fair enough. That's a good way to look at it. I feel like if there is one thing that I genuinely dislike and people find like a bit weird is the fact that I don't like traveling. Like I like being to an extent. That's the thing. But like I hate like look like commuting. I absolutely hate it. It doesn't matter. Even if I go to the most important event in my life. If I go on holiday, I hate the going.
Yeah, okay.
I like the being
Yeah, okay.
on holiday. I like not even being in an airplane. I like being in a hotel room or the Airbnb.
Yeah,
I don't like the period between
just to
leaving
travel
my
it.
house.
Yeah.
Actually, even leaving my house, packing my bag.
Oh wow, so it even starts from
So
there.
yeah,
Right, okay.
yeah,
So you need like just a teleporter.
yeah,
Who's that thing? Doctor Who?
yeah,
The
yeah.
thingy. What's he got? The telephone box.
I mean, I haven't watched it, but I imagine, yeah, something like that.
Sounds like I haven't either because I can't remember what it's called. The TARDIS or the Back to the Future car.
Yeah, without
There we go. One of them, please.
without the need to date my mother, uh,
There we-
go-
yes, okay.
just for a lack of not to use the other, yeah. But without that part, yeah, Back to the Future car, and yeah, again the Doctor Who thing as well. I feel like I would be up for being the new
Okay,
or
well,
like
put it out there, manifest it.
yeah,
You never know.
yeah. What about you? Would you be Doctor Who?
Do you know what? I think at this point of my life, it's all about the yes.
So you would.
I would, yes, completely. I
Interesting.
think in life, sometimes you can think too much about something, but sometimes you just say yes to things and then you can work it out later.
Okay, interesting. And now, having said that, how did you come to this conclusion? Well, I guess
I,
this mantra more than
I
anything.
think there can be too much overthinking these days
Right.
about things. I think that, when you're a little bit younger, you don't think about consequences so much. And I
Okay.
think like the older that I'm getting in my years, the more it's too easy to try and think about, oh, well, what if, or, good or bad. And I think just say yes, and then you can always just get out of it at the last minute. Say yes, get there, and then go, do you know what? Actually, this isn't for me, guys. I'm out.
Interesting. Okay.
I wouldn't do it as severe as that, but just always say yes.
I can see the concept behind. I wasn't thinking about like the I don't know the ultimate way to do it, but I do get the idea of
Yeah,
it's better to then to have tried it, I guess, and then be like, you know what, actually this is not for me,
yeah,
than to just go like, no.
yeah, completely. Yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
there we go. That's why I'm on this podcast, Levy.
Well, actually, you know what?
I'll leave if I'm not feeling
Actually, that would be again.
it.
I don't want it to happen. It would be quite funny. Just walk out in the middle of
Yeah.
the episode.
I
Um,
did that once. Once worked on a job.
yeah.
I used to work in a gym. This is many, 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 many years ago. I used to work in a gym, and just one day I was like, do you know what? I'm not feeling this anymore. And I said to everyone, I was like, I'm just going to Tesco's. Does anyone want anything? And luckily they all said no. And I left and I never went back.
No way.
Yes.
I mean, I have walked out of jobs
Have
before.
you?
Yeah.
Knowing that you were going to do it
Yeah.
before you did it,
Yeah.
was it in a dramatic way, or were you just like my Tesco thing of,
No, no, no. Not even dramatic. I was just like, I'm down. I'm out.
but you know what, though, this it's a good place to be, to know that don't want to take it anymore.
Yeah.
Because you can talk yourself back into it, and then however many weeks later, you'll feel the same.
Yeah.
So I'm all for
Well, actually, this is the thing. Like in the two or three times I did it, it was based on a fact that I thought about it. And again, I feel like there is a combination of at least the last time, the more recent one, I was very, very much aware of what I'm doing. Again, it's like since I became like more mindful, I've learned of the BPD diagnosis because this sort of like explosions are common with people with BPD.
Yeah.
So the first two times, I didn't think about it like that, and I was perhaps looking back, going, "Oh, have I done a mistake?" For that week when you're like jobless, or like 2 weeks. I can't even remember, but yeah. Anyway, for that period of time, I was a bit like, "Oh my God, have I done the right thing? Have I done the wrong thing? What am I gonna do next?" Whilst this last time, I was just like, "I can't." Like I went through all the possibilities in my head. Neither looks good.
Okay.
I'm just done.
So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
You might as
So
well go for it.
yeah, so that's why I was like, again, I'd say although the first two were very like impulse driven, and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck this, I'm out. Although I haven't, because I don't like arguing, or I don't like any sort of
Confrontation.
confrontation. Yeah, I don't necessarily find. So actually, the way I left, I was like, I can't do this anymore,
Yeah.
and I just walked out.
Oh,
So
okay.
without going like, oh fuck
Yeah.
no, I just walked out.
That's a classy way to do it.
Whilst, yeah, even on the last time, I was like, you know what, I can't do this. And then they were like, oh, you're not feeling well. And I was like, yeah, let's say I'm not feeling well. And I just walked away. And then I think the next day, they still expected me to come to work because I had a shift.
Because you hadn't matched.
But because I don't think they figured out that I'm actually leaving. So I was like,
They think you're sick. They think you're coming
yeah,
back.
yeah. I was like, I just wanted, basically, I think I sent an email going, I just want to make sure if it wasn't clear enough,
Yeah.
I'm done. I can't do this job anymore.
Yeah.
Good luck finding someone who can. I got genuinely, I was like, look, good luck. It's not
Yeah.
for me. I
Yeah.
think it's best for both of us to leave it at that.
Mm.
And then I got I got a reply going like, no, fair enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. At least
They
they
were like,
understood.
yeah, they were like, I think basically I had this thing of like, oh, it's a bit unfortunate that you only given us this much notice, or not
Which
at all.
is understandable.
But in the other hand, I was like, look, I'm not like, I wasn't meant to do like heart surgery this like today. So like you can get someone to pick up the slack.
Completely. I think in life you can measure things based on, am I saving lives here?
Yeah.
If you are saving lives, then yes, you need to go to work. But if no one is going to get harmed from you not turning up to work, people can cope.
You see, this is why I very rarely cancel comedy gigs. I feel like I'm saving lives.
Laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah, there you go.
It really is.
I have God, I was gonna say I went to like a chemo hospital, and I was like, guys, laughter is the best medicine.
That'd be a really good gig place, wouldn't it? While people are getting their chemo.
Maybe not while, maybe after or
I don't know the
before.
process of getting chemo actually. So
I imagine apparently like you feel rough from the experience from people who I know
yeah,
who have gone through it. I think it's like once you've done it for a week or two, you're a bit
right. Okay.
fucked. Like you're,
Okay.
and then you're kind of like getting back, and then you have to do it again. But again, that's talking with a friend of mine who was doing it once a month, I think.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, it's awful. Like after you've done it, you're like, oh.
Okay. Well, I need validation. So if they're not going to laugh at me, I won't go. Cancel me for those gigs.
But look, I hope everyone who's struggling with that is doing okay, or does as best as they can. Anyway, now let's bring the mood back. Although it's my fault, I'm the one.
No, it's okay.
Because I just thought about it. I was like, yeah, that's the time when you were like, they're like, oh, like this treatment is so expensive. I'm like, laughter, it's better and cheaper
Indeed.
than treatment. I guess that's what they should do, like in Turkey, when people go with like the hairline and stuff.
To get the turkey teeth.
Yeah, or the teeth. Yeah, and just be like, hey guys, stop spending all these thousands of pounds. I'll just tell you some jokes.
Just tell some jokes.
And your teeth will just pop.
Your smile will be gleaming.
Yeah, like popcorn, they'll just come up.
Yeah.
But anyway, having said that, you slightly touched on it before. I feel like although I wanted to start with the beginning and be like, who's Jonathan? We'll start with this question, and then we'll go to the beginning. You've recently you've decided that you're going to pursue stand-up comedy
Yeah, indeed.
as
Yes.
a full-time gig.
I'm gonna try my very best. Yes.
How did you? Because I think generally, from personal experience, it's not easy.
No.
What made you come across, like, what made you decide that?
So it was a number of things. I think ultimately I've wanted to work within
Right.
comedy sphere, we'll say, for many, many years, but I haven't ever seen a way of monetizing that. I don't necessarily mean me doing stand up, but just me, say, working on, in a writer's room for a TV show, or working alongside another comedian that does stand up. I've never actually seen a way that I could make a living out of it. But I think just from recently, really kind of studying stand up. And the thing is, I'm relatively new to stand up. I've been doing it now 3 years. Um, I haven't done loads of gigs, but the more that I'm doing, the more that I'm learning, and I can now kind of see a way to work in it. And I think the best way for me is to come away from what I do now, which is working in television production. So to completely come away from that, to fully concentrate on trying to make it in comedy. And that's not having a clear set path,
Mm.
but it's just knowing that's what I really want to do. So I'm going to put absolutely everything into making this happen. And I'm really realistic. Like, I'm going to be living a very frugal life. To have no paydays,
Yeah.
the fear of having no payday, Jesus, God Almighty, that really puts the fear in me. But you've got to take a leap, and you've just got to land. And so
Which
that's
is
kind of
fair.
it. So that's why I'm coming away from my job, is to completely concentrate on the comedy. Um, but yeah, I've worked in TV for 19 years, working in entertainment TV. Um, and it's great. I love it. I absolutely love
Mm.
TV, but I just want to make the transition into comedy now. That's
Fair.
that's a big goal for me.
Now, I want to ask you, we'll go to the beginning of Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Many years ago.
where are you from?
London,
London, which part?
North London.
North London.
Yeah, I'm a very rare specimen. I was born in London and I still live in London. It's
Okay.
such a rare breed. Like, people, London's really expensive. People
Yeah.
kind of, lots of my friends that I grew up with, they live outside of London now. Um,
Right. Do
or
you look
lots of,
down on them? No.
of course I do. Or lots of my friends have moved to London.
Right.
So to know someone that was born and bred in London is a very rare thing. So
Okay.
you're very lucky, Levies. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
You're lucky to talk to
I'm very grateful
me.
to have the honor.
Thank you.
But also, are your parents from London?
They are.
No way.
My mum and dad,
Yeah.
you could put them in an episode of EastEnders and they would fit. Like, they are very London.
Right.
Very, very not Cockney,
Okay.
but they're just very, very London.
Which one is Cockney again? Sorry, because which part of London is Cockney?
Cockney is East End,
East End. Okay.
which
Okay.
is EastEnders.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So, back in the day, how long ago, I don't know, but the East End people,
Yeah.
they then moved to Essex. So
Yes.
that's why Essex is a little bit like that, isn't it?
Ah,
Because it's originating from East London.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, but because actually that's a thing. Now that I have you here, I want to ask you all the questions.
Mr.
I
London, come on.
um because I've basically I saw a meme with like people like Londoners getting annoyed about being like called like it's got someone goes like, oh, that's the Cockney accent, although this like you would be just, no, I'm just from London, I'm not from the East End. How do you feel if someone goes like, oh, so you have a Cockney accent, or again you meet like someone who's a foreigner, or
Yeah.
even you see someone on TV who goes like, oh, from London, Cockney.
Yes. Yeah.
How have you ever felt outraged by that? Have you ever
I
threw
quite.
something at the TV or stuff like that?
Do you know what? I quite like it, actually. I
Okay,
quite like it. I think there is a way that a Londoner speaks, and
right,
I'm quite not proud of that, but I like it. I enjoy it. I really like an accent, actually.
right.
If it's a regional accent from the UK, or someone from abroad, if they've got a bit of a twang the way they speak. But no, I think for me anyway, I think I do speak quite London,
Hmm.
and I think some of my friends that I grew up with in North London, we kind of could tell if someone was from West London or South London, and
Interesting.
it's very slight.
Right.
But no, I don't mind it at all. I really don't mind it. I think actually that I don't speak. I think they call it phonetically. It's like when you can pronounce all your
Oh,
words
like
quite
the
perfect.
English, like the Queen's English.
Yeah,
Is that?
I
Yeah.
I don't feel that I speak like that at all.
Right.
But sometimes people listening to me talk, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're so posh," and I'm like, "I'm really not. Like, I'm really, really not." So that always
Yeah.
surprises me, actually. Do you think
Okay.
I speak posh or quite London?
I would say you're very well spoken. That's for sure. But
I don't think I am.
but I think that's more even. And again, I might sound like I'm judging people
You
usually.
judge me. I'm happy for it.
But you seem like you basically. It's kind of like when someone's like looking after themselves and is basically putting effort into like from the appearance to the speaking to like I wouldn't say again it's not necessarily like phonetically like because I don't even think about that but it's kind of like I get what you're saying I understand what I see that you're making the effort to
Okay, yeah,
that's in that respect
yeah,
yeah I feel like actually from the first time even yeah from the first time we met
yeah.
to even like now when I opened the door
Hmm.
to let you in I was like oh my God I forgot like yeah, I forgot. Actually, I forgot even like how tall you were, but I also I forgot how you speak, and then I was like, I'm drawn into this.
That's nice. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I think again in that respect, it's is that you're almost because I think sometimes when someone speaks and is like they go quieter all of a sudden because
Yeah.
they almost like run out of ideas or like run out of words.
Mhm.
Whilst with you, that doesn't seem to be the case. You're kind of like, here is the sentence that I'm about to say. I'm saying it. Done.
I like that. That's a really nice way of putting it. Yeah. And I think I agree with you. Yeah. I think there is an element of thought in everything that I do, but it's not intentional.
Yeah.
Um, so
So
that's nice.
I generally, I think it's a skill. I do because again after like seeing people on the both sides of the say spectrum.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well done.
Thank you. Supposed to well though, like doing stand-up comedy, when you're up there with the microphone in your hand, you've got a route of things that you need to say, and it's just bridging them in between. You're not learning it like a script.
Yes.
So there is an element of thinking of what you're going to say before you're saying it, really, which
Yeah.
maybe in my mind I'm now doing all the time. Maybe.
Actually, I think that's one of the main things that helped me get over that sort of, almost having a word vomiting,
Yeah. Chat
experience.
shit.
Well, not in the respect of like lying or but the word vomiting in the respect of just blabbing, just saying shit just for the sake of saying.
Yeah.
Comedy was one of the reasons, or like perhaps was the time when a light bulb switched
Mm.
in my brain, and I was like, oh, actually, I have to make sure that whatever I say makes sense
Yeah.
for the receiving person,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that they get what I'm about to say is not uh, just a bunch of nothing,
I completely
basically.
agree. And actually, when you do stand up, I'm going to assume that you do this, but you would record it, especially in the early
Yeah,
days,
yeah.
to watch it back. 'Cause then you're even more aware of not just how you come across as someone looking at you, but seeing if you can understand what you're
What you're
saying.
saying exactly,
So
yeah.
actually, you're more aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I used to do that a lot anyway because of obviously like not being the first language.
Yeah.
Yeah, no English not being my first language, so I almost had to do it because like my thought behind it was I do it because I want to, listen and see if people didn't laugh because it wasn't funny or they didn't laugh because they just didn't understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
And then if that's the case, then you gotta do it again
We've got to
to
learn, haven't
try
we?
and say it right. And I feel like obviously with that, it's pretty much is again, it's not even the case of like, oh, people need to understand. No, it's more to do with me because I want to be a comedian. I want people to understand me.
Yeah.
It's not a case of like, oh, you don't like Romanian people? Is that why you not
Yeah.
understand me? No, 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 no. I just don't understand
Yeah.
what I think I get to that point. I don't know if you've noticed, even with like English speaking like native English speaking comedians, when they lack the confidence on the joke that they're about to do. And then I don't know if you've noticed, but like towards the end, towards the punchline, they will just drop
Hmm.
their voice. They would be like so much quieter and you can't understand what's going on.
Hmm.
So I feel like that happens to anybody, regardless of the, say, the language that they speak at home or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's just the fact that you need to learn to speak with that kind of confidence. So then, because I like have to lean in and go like, what did they say?
yeah,
Like, what's that? And that's why it's not to say it's not funny. It's just to say that between you and me, the thought kind of like got cut
yeah,
at some point.
yeah. Well, it drifts off. It drifts off towards the end, isn't it? If you're going to have a strong start, you need a strong finish,
Yeah,
especially if you're doing some kind of public speaking. It's
as
all
well as
it's
that.
all
Yeah,
very well having a great opener, but in theory, it should be the only way is up. Whereas if you have a too good opener, the only way is going to be down. So you need a good start and a good finish.
I think with that again, I have a little. Uh, I think sometimes it depends because I feel like genuinely it's hard to be that consistent. Like genuine, like I don't think I've ever seen someone who's, through and through keeping up the bar. But I think it's good to be aware and it's good to I think it's good to start on a high because you have to get people's attention and be like, hey, listen to me, I'm worthy
Mm.
of being listened to. And then it's also important to have a good ending so then people, like that's their last memory
Yeah, that's your
of you.
yeah, completely. And I love a happy ending. Listener, we
Very
had a
good.
very interesting conversation before we started this podcast, which I won't go on about, but it was about happy endings in hotels.
If you want, the thing is, we can go into that. I do not mind at all, but I want to know a bit more about you first, and then
Maybe.
we address. Or if you want, yeah, we can discuss that even more. But so you're a kid from London.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about leaving London? Have you ever had a moment where you're like, no, I'm done, or like not even in a case of like, oh, I don't like this place, just more like, you know what, I just want to try
I
something else.
Yeah, so when I was leaving college, so let's say this is maybe what, 16 or 17, when I was looking at universities, I only wanted to go to university outside of London. So still in the UK, because I was just curious about
Right.
other cities. Um, and so I'd applied to all these different universities, didn't get into any of them because my grades were really bad. Um, and then I ended up going to a university in London, London South Bank. And it was only really then that I started to really fall in love with London, like completely
Interesting.
fall in love with it. And I can never see myself living anywhere else. Like, I seriously can't. I would like to go and live abroad,
Right.
but with the intention to come
To
back
come
to
back.
London. And that's not like I'm too scared to fully commit and go
Yeah.
live somewhere else. But genuinely, I love London so much that the thought just never even crossed my mind. I mean, hey, let's be honest. If I fell in love with someone from, I don't know, Paris or Romania, and they were like, I really want to go and live back home in the motherland, I'd be up for it.
Right.
But I would always want some kind of London base. Like, I really, really bloody love London. And I take such
Interesting.
offense when people bash it.
Really?
Yeah.
How, okay, but then how, oh God, I don't know how to ask this actually. See now here takes the moment of like trying to think of the words I'm about to say. Okay, then how do you see, London throughout your lifetime? How because you talked about like falling in love with it, which sounds beautiful, I think, and it's amazing, and it's something that I'm actually quite jealous of because I've never been in a place where I'm actually even like back home.
Mhm.
I don't have besides of like the feeling, towards my again like my parents who are not around anymore anyway, but like that's what I miss.
Yeah.
But I don't miss the home. Like when I go home, I'm usually like, okay, like it's nice, but I'm not
Yeah.
like I don't feel any sort of
Connection.
connection.
Yeah.
I lived in Manchester for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
I felt like absolutely nothing. And I think that was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to leave because I was like,
Mhm.
if after 10 years, being here, I still feel like I'm just like a tourist.
Yeah.
then I don't think I'm ever
Yeah.
gonna fall in love with the place in that respect. So that, again, from that perspective of someone who's like, you know what, not too hot about it.
Yeah.
How how do you see, again, like how did the falling in love happen, and then more importantly, how do you manage, like manage it through the years? And then we were talking about, which is quite interesting, when you're like, people bash London, you're not up for it, which is fair enough. But how do you also, again, like how do you, if you see something, say, that you don't like about London, how do you, because I imagine you have a very like homely feeling, and you're like, look, we're gonna work out to make it better,
Yeah.
or something like that. But I
Yeah.
want to hear it from you.
Do you know what I think? So I think London, I've worked out that the way that London works and the way that it is such a desirable city is because it's constantly changing.
Right.
And I that's what I love about it. When I think of London when I was younger, when I used to bunk off school when I was like 14, I remember we used to just get on a bus. It would be any bus, and we would get off at the very end, like when it would terminate. And there was one particular bus, and it was the 43, and it would terminate at London Bridge.
Right.
So we, as kids, we would walk around London Bridge, and I just think like I wouldn't think this was my city. I'd think like this was. I feel like it was a million miles away from home, even though it was only like 20 minutes on the
Yeah.
bus from where I lived. And when I think back to that London Bridge, like when I was 14 to now when I'm 41, there is so much change. And I like it because there's something new to see every time I'm there. And I'm very
I
much
see.
like, I'm a little bit like I love looking at things, and I love, smelling things, and I love the
Right.
colors of things, and I love the textures of things, and I can get bored very quickly.
Right.
Whereas I think in London, I'm never bored. And that's not just because there's such a variety of stuff to do, but it's because it's constantly changing. And I think when I was younger, say things like even in my like early 20s, I couldn't really see the city for what it was. I kind of had an impression of it
Right.
in my head, but now that I kind of appreciate the city with different eyes, like with aged eyes, I can see that the way that it works is because it changes all the time. And actually, that is life. If you don't go with the change, you're always going to be left behind. And you'll also be kind of denying the future of something because you're not just letting go. That sounds very deep for just talking about London,
No, but
but I'm just very passionate
yeah,
about it. And it's
and you know what, actually, like genuinely, he helped me change a little bit my perspective about London.
okay.
Yeah, just now,
Really? Okay.
truly, because
Yeah.
I think, again, I wasn't bashing it, but I have my own beef with, some things. I don't like this,
Well,
and now to actually hear your perspective, I'm like, no, it actually, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
yeah. And I think as well, like, I quite like a Zen life.
Yeah.
I really do. And London isn't a Zen city. It's busy, it's buzzy. People are walking around angry, people
Yeah.
walking around with a chip on their shoulder, people are crazy. But I think if you are walking around with a sense of Zen,
Yeah.
then actually you'll see it all in a very different way. Don't know. It's just
Interesting.
it's quite hard to explain, really. What, out of interest, is there one particular bit of beef with London that you have at the minute?
I don't.
Was it a lot of stuff?
No, I think it's a few things when I'm
Okay.
like, like I had the whole thing where, like, for example, around here where we live, we had for a couple of weeks we had those, like, bike stealing phone
Okay, the
gang.
phone snatchers.
Yeah, the phone snatchers,
Yes.
and that was
Not
like,
keen on them.
yeah, that was a bit like annoying, and I was like, oh, and that's when, like, the idea of, like, I wish I could catch one of these. Although, luckily, nothing happened. Like, I think one of them tried to take the phone once.
From you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But not like, because I always like hold on to it. I'm always very mindful of
Yeah.
it. So I always like hold, grip properly, which I think actually that what made me even more furious, because I was like, so you think I am, someone who's just like flaunting their phone like this, and
Yeah.
you can take it away from me? But then I also realized that one of the reasons why I felt so angry about it is because I always think about my fiance. I always think about my, like, what if, like, this happens when she comes home or she goes
Yeah.
to work, and I think that makes me get even more angry,
Yes.
you know, because I'm like, okay, I can't defend. Like it happened like in Woolwich. I had a couple of years ago, someone attempt to basically like, this kid just like pulled a knife at me. He was a kid though. Like this is why I think actually I got even again it makes me even angrier because I'm like he's just a child. Like this guy looked 14, 15 at best,
Mhm.
and to have that kid try to rob me at knife point.
Yeah.
I generally I just turned and I was like, fuck off. And he just left. He just went away. But you know the whole idea of like what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then thinking that, oh, okay, I'm in this situation where, you know, I don't want to blow my own horn, but I'm quite comfortable fighting someone
Yeah.
if it needs to,
If it came to it, you
if it
could
came
still
to
be,
it.
yeah,
Exactly.
you could protect yourself.
But thinking that, you know, I have my better half, you know, I have like people who would actually even like people who I just know that wouldn't be capable of defending themselves. That's what annoys me. But then I also realize that I've seen this again, I think in I've seen this in Manchester as well. You know, like it's not just a London thing. It's more that obviously because you're here, and I'm like, oh, it's annoying. But then now, yeah, if I lived in London, it would happen as well. If I
Yeah.
and I've seen it happening before. I think that's and yeah, like again in Romania things were a bit different because I again like, actually the community was much smaller, so
Mhm.
you technically couldn't do stuff like that
Because
because
they'd
someone
watch
knows you. Yeah.
see them again. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So stuff like that you wouldn't get away with.
Mm.
So again, I do like that's the thing. I get why I could or like that. That's why I'm saying I always transition emotionally
Yeah.
from like how enraged I feel about certain things,
Yeah.
just because of that. Because then I try to see it from the other perspective.
Yeah. Which is a nice place to do it from, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's very caring. You
Yeah,
know.
so that's why I'm, you know, okay, like again, when you asked me, I was like almost like I was getting angry again about
Yeah.
it. But then after that, I was like, you know what, again, it's fucking, it's a big city.
Yeah.
You don't know people, and also, and I actually, if anything, I felt specifically that the kid with the knife. Actually, I kind of feel bad for
Feel
him.
sorry for them. Yeah. Well, this is it.
Yeah,
Even someone stealing your phone now, like you actually have to feel sorry for them. They want to steal.
yeah,
You know, I know it's very personal because they're taking it your property, but it's about them. It's not about you.
yeah.
You know, that doesn't mean, hey, here, have my phone. You know, but also you've got to think, great, they want my phone out of everyone else's.
How lucky.
How lucky am I that I've got a great
Yeah.
phone that you want?
So,
I feel you there. I do. But do you know what it is? And I'm not at all making an excuse. It's any city, isn't
yeah,
it? If we were to live in New York,
yeah,
Sydney, you know, blah blah blah. It's any city wherever there's loads of people.
yeah, there would
There's
be
going to
this.
be some wrong-uns, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I think even if you were living in a little village, you know, in the British countryside somewhere, or you know, in rural France, there was going to be idiots around you.
I mean, like, look, this is the thing. Actually, we're talking about like villages and rural France and stuff like that. I actually remember from again the city that I came from. There was an episode around the time when I left, or maybe just a couple of summers before, when there used to actually be people from outside the city that would come and try to like rob houses and stuff like that. You know, because
Oh my
they will
gosh.
like travel basically from somewhere further out where
Okay.
nobody knows them.
Yeah.
So you see, like it's almost like that would happen. It feels like that would happen regardless, like whether you have someone who lives across the street from you
Yeah.
or someone who. Because also, I think these guys with the bikes, they're not from here. Like they're
No.
not from around here. They kind of like patrol because that's the thing. Like you could see them for a week or so, and then I think a couple of neighbors as well as myself, I've reported it to the police,
Mm.
and then haven't seen them since.
Yeah. So go on to another
So
village.
that's what I, you know, that's how I kind of see it. And then I heard, I read that thing about the house with like 40,000 phones that they raided. So it was actually like a group. Yeah, it was near
Wow.
North London actually.
Gosh.
And there was like yeah, like over 40,000 phones
Oh my gosh.
in the house and shit like that. And it again, it turns out they were all basically working from the same
Wow.
property. Obviously, I don't think they were living there. I think it was one of them living or two, and then
Yeah.
everyone just used it as a hub. But it kind of even goes to show that, you know, it was like basically like a gang
I was going to say like
was
organized
in charge.
crime.
Yeah, yeah, was in charge of
You
it.
would just assume it was just some hoodlums on a
Yeah,
bike,
yeah,
but actually it's a bit like it's like a pimp
yeah,
situation,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So you see, with stuff like that, I'm like,
No, I've got a gripe with that. Okay, I'll allow you to have that gripe.
thank you, thank you. So you see, but you see, yeah, with stuff like that, and I also feel like, but again, this is another thing where I grew up reading about London, and it was a very like romanticized version of London. And
Okay.
then when I actually came to London, but again, actually, having said that, I've realized many places I've been around the world. I've like once I got there, I was like, this is a bit shit. Like compared to the expectations, because
Yeah.
like and the biggest one is, and I'm sorry to my Catholic friends, but like going to the Vatican, and I remember it was during the lockdown as well, so I had to pay like a lot of money to get into the Vatican, and just going
They
on.
put the prices up because of COVID,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because less people could go in.
No, but it was bullshit. It was still like it was packed, where you had to
Right.
pay like again. I'm talking like a lot of money. It was 60 euros, which for me is a lot of money based on the fact that I paid almost nothing for anything else in Rome at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I remember getting into like the Sistine Chapel and going like, is that it?
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, just like yeah, okay, like it's cool. Like the guy did it on his own.
Yeah.
Wow, but
I must say, there are some underwhelming landmarks in the world, isn't there? Like when you get to it, you're like, God, this is tiny.
so
I couldn't give you an example now, but the amount of times that I've been away and I just thought, that's it.
So you see, this is the thing with London, I guess, as well. Another thing is, you hear about this like cool, like again, you read all these things about like the beauty of London, and you think like the Westminster Palace. The London is just the Westminster Palace.
Yeah.
Like you're just in the palace all the time, and then you're like, litter everywhere, which I've seen in every major city, by the way. Like I'm not, you see all that stuff. You see again, you see like again a bunch of kids on like electric bikes or whatever, and you're like, oh, this is fucking
Yeah.
annoying. And then I feel like that also can change one's perception much quicker, or it can make one think, oh, I've kind of like, I've made a life choice to move to this city when I could have moved to any other city.
Mm,
And I
mm.
obviously that's to an extent my fault, because I should have done more research. Um,
So wait a minute, when you were reading about London, did you think, oh, I want to live there?
No, I wasn't thinking at the time, but I was kind of like, oh, that sounds cool. Like
Right, okay.
that's the place
So
to
it
be.
planted a seed in your head
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
that looks cool.
And then you another thing, and then you get here, and yeah, it looks cool, but it's like it looks cool in one particular
Completely.
building or like outside.
Knightsbridge, great. I'll live there. Thank you very much.
Or is again, it's the same with the train. You're like, oh, underground is great.
Yeah,
But then I also like after using underground and like railway in different countries, you're like, this is not great.
yeah.
And then you're actually like, one of those moments when you actually get stuck at a red signal
Mhm.
and you're like in Victoria on the Bakerloo line, you can barely breathe.
Yeah.
And you're like, is this why I came here? So you see, in those moments, I can again because I would say I pride myself in the fact that I don't hate stuff and I don't hate people. I can cut people off and I can just be like, you're dead to me to that extent, and I'm like, I do not care about like that's to me the opposite of caring or like loving something is not caring about it. So I feel like with London, because obviously I do care about it because it's the place I live in and the place I want to be better, because then my life would be better because I live in here. I think from that, yeah, I guess from those like having those standards of like that should be faster, that should be nicer, that should be. It's a very yeah, that's the thing I was gonna say. I don't hate London,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
don't. I hate these things about London. Like sometimes I hate them, or sometimes they make my blood boil. But
Yeah.
only for a short period of time. Like I'll be 15 minutes. I'll be like, ah, this is the worst thing ever. And
Yeah.
then after that, I'm just like, whatever.
And
Like,
sure, I think that is something that you learn from living in London. You get over these annoyances very quick because there'll be something else to get
yeah.
annoyed
And no, it's
about.
actually because that happened in Manchester as well. Like that happens everywhere. Like that
Yeah.
happens. I remember having a flight delay in Frankfurt, and you meant like, oh, Frankfurt is meant to be like clockwork, and I was like, I was like, this 10 minutes that I've wasted here is the 10 minutes that could have really made my life so much
That much
different.
better,
Yeah.
yes. Mm.
So you see, with stuff like that, again, but I also sorry because actually I did lie. I don't hate for a long period. I can hate something for a second. I can hate,
Yeah.
but I don't like hang on to something. I'm like, oh, I
No.
hate this so much that I want to see its destruction. Like I want to seek revenge. I
Yes.
seek revenge for like I plot revenge for like 10 minutes, and then after that I'm like I'm tired.
Yeah. No.
And actually, I think this is the reason why. It's not even to say that I'm a forgiving person, not to say that I'm just too tired to,
Yeah.
or like I get tired very quickly.
Well, to hate on something is quite draining, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why.
Do you know what I always think about the London Tube though? Here's a little bit of wisdom for you. If you go to the tube thinking there's going to be a delay, then you won't be annoyed.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's
Yeah.
and you never have to wait that long for a tube.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, on the grand scheme of things, again.
It is quite clockwork, but I know exactly what you mean. Like some underground lines, I think it might be the Bakerloo line. You do kind of get on it and you think, are we actually in 2025 in
Yeah.
London?
Or
You'd
is
think that you're in the 1970s
yeah.
in a country that you've never even heard of completely.
But I was also gonna say with the tube, like with the delays, not only that, but I also feel like if you're that desperate that you have to like chase the tube, for like you don't have the 2 minutes to spare between the other train, and I'm like, that's on you, buddy. Like every time I see
Completely.
someone,
Yes.
rushing or like, again at peak time
Yeah.
when the doors are about and they try to like I'm like, fucking wait. Like
Yes.
if you're again like if you're so if your meeting or whatever you're going to it's so important but yet you've chosen to not because I would take like half an hour extra
Yeah.
just to be to have it on in the bank.
Mhm.
But if you've just chosen to show up in this train, say like I saw you running behind me and now you're like, oh, I can't believe I can't get in.
Yeah.
Like, that's what
That's their bad
yeah,
luck. No, I
like
agree
that.
with that.
So you see that's where I'm like I fluctuate
Yes.
in those feelings. Like in one hand, I can be like unacceptable, but then in the other hand, your problem.
There we go, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not London, it's the person.
Again, it depends. It depends.
Okay, okay.
Anyway, that was quite enjoyable. I genuinely I loved
Good.
talking with you about this. And again, like genuinely, you've changed my perception about a
Okay.
couple of things. Yeah, which is beautiful. I'm very up for it.
Do you know what I think? I'm sorry, you're
Yeah,
going to
no,
talk
that's
about
okay.
something else, but before you move on, do you know what I think is a really important thing to do when you live in a city? And, we'll talk about London more just because obviously we're both here now. I think it's so important to actually every now and then treat yourself like you're a tourist in the city
Yeah,
because a city is made for tourists. There's a majority of the city that is just needs the tourism, and I think you should put yourself in a tourist's shoes to appreciate what they're going through and also just to see the fun things on offer. Like, say for
interesting.
instance, like would you go to museums or galleries, or
No, I don't like
if you went to
crowded places.
so if you went to another country on a holiday,
No,
would you go
no
to
anymore.
those kind of
I
things?
used to,
Okay,
but no anymore.
okay.
I actually prefer to either not go. Like I would go if it's a non-peak time, but
Dream.
then otherwise,
Dream,
I
yeah.
actually I even realized like even then yeah, like actually if anything, I walk into museums or art galleries or stuff like this if I don't see a queue. If I
I
see
could agree.
people queuing, even though it's like, oh, the national, I just see the pictures.
I completely agree with you.
I love to read. I'd like to think that I have a good understanding of, history, especially like when I choose the places that I want to go to. I usually that plays a part in it.
Yeah,
The fact that I've read something about it,
yeah,
and then I'm like, you know what? If yeah, I wouldn't because again, this happened with even with France, but I was like, I think I went. Did I go in the Louvre? I think well, that's the thing. You see, I think I did, but I don't have
yeah.
any because it wasn't like
Not that
I
memorable.
don't remember anything going like wow.
Yeah,
Like all my best experiences in life. Although no, I'm lying. As a child, it was cool. I remember going to a like a war museum in Romania, and then that was pretty fucking cool because again, I was a kid and it was like tanks and guns and stuff. And you're like, wow.
yeah.
But then ever since I was an adult, I turned into an adult. Ever since I grew up, I'm not lying I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying that I don't think I've had cool or like the best memories or something that was like really wow
Okay.
happened in a museum?
Yeah, yeah.
If you,
No,
yeah,
I've been to, I mean, I don't love museums, but I've been to a few, and let's be honest, they're quite forgettable
yeah,
completely. But it's just a thing that exists in the city that you
yeah,
would maybe go and see the museum of that city, you know. But no, when there's a queue with people, that is my nightmare. You know, I used to live not too far from the Tate Modern, and one of my favorite things to do was in the morning get a coffee and then just walk around the Tate Modern very speedily
yeah,
because I'd be the only one in there.
nice.
But then as soon as there would be, I don't know, a bus full of people turn up, it was like, okay,
I'm
bye.
out. Yeah, because I was actually even then I remember one of the nicest experiences in the last few years was taking my niece to an art gallery in our hometown.
Okay,
And I just because I was walking with her, I was walking in town, and I was like, oh, let's do this. And I remember it as an experience, like the two of us, and it was her first time in art gallery. It was quite nice to
very
share
special.
that,
Yeah,
but I can't remember I remember thinking, oh, this looks nice, but I don't remember who it was. I don't remember.
yeah.
And again, that's not to say the work, because the work was actually, I think it was a lady who did the painting. It was they were beautiful, but
Mm.
I didn't.
But do you know what I think with that? That's probably a very normal experience, you know, because going to the cinema and going to the cinema is a really fun thing. I couldn't list all of the films that I've seen in the cinema compared to watching them at home. So kind of the same of going to a gallery. I like going to a gallery. I like the
Yeah,
space. Couldn't tell you the last gallery that I went to and the art that I saw. You know, so actually that's probably a normal experience. It's the memory of it is you and your niece going to this gallery. What the art was, who cares?
yeah, I can't
And
even.
as well, we can't remember everything, can we?
True.
There's so much to bloody remember. Can't remember it.
Oh God. But you see now I wanted to ask you about the obviously we've established the beginning, North London.
Mhm.
We're talking about like you talked about a little bit about the uni when you were like, oh, you know what, I want to leave London, end up staying here. How did you now let's establish how did you get to first? Because you were talking about how your love for comedy is the reason why you're uh, basically leaving something that you love as well, which is your current job and your current career. Although actually I'd say like they're slightly intertwined the two, so it's not like you're saying goodbye forever. It's
Yeah.
however, how basically I'll take it back and ask you the question, which is, was comedy the first art form that you fell in love with, or was it the first thing that from this like spectrum that you've decided, oh, this is for me, or I would love to do this, or was it television, or if it was, what part of television was it, or whether it was music, dance, whatever it was, what was it, and how did you then, if it wasn't comedy, how did you go towards comedy?
Yeah. Do you know what I think it was? If I try to remember back in my younger years, I remember I was always really fascinated with watching the telly or listening to the radio or, you know, watching films in the cinema that had an element of laughter to it. I always really enjoyed that. I always enjoyed laughing in a
Right.
way. And I always appreciated a comedian or a television presenter that had humor. Um, and so from that kind of young age, I didn't realize how much I enjoyed comedy
Right.
as much as I do now looking back at it. I just always thought back then I was just really into media being, you know, telly, films, magazines, and
Yeah.
stuff. But it's now looking back, I was interested in the comedy side of things. Um, and I think in a way, like my goal was always to work in TV. Like that's what I always wanted to do from such a young age. It was get into telly however you can and then work out what you want to do.
Right.
Um, and I think it's only really now that I've realized that my passion and what I really want to do is comedy TV. But I think for such a long time, I just thought, great, I'm in TV. This is what I really
Yeah.
want to do. And it's really enjoyable and I really like it. But it was actually the draw is the laughter. It really, really is. And I think that's why me going into stand-up comedy and doing shows, it really brought out that side of God, this has been in you for so long, but you didn't know how to unlock that door.
Got it.
So it's kind of just, doing the stand up then opened up the whole, do you know what, this could be your career within TV. Like I connected the dots kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just think it was that. It was just I was always drawn to kind of funny people, even presenters,
Right.
like just or like say for instance, even in a soap opera. I remember like being younger, like we didn't have Sky TV, so we only had like the 5 channels.
Right.
And if I was watching something like EastEnders, I'd always like the humorous characters.
Got it.
There was Dot. Do you know Dot Cotton?
I
You know
do
that
not,
name?
but no, no, no.
She's a legend.
Right.
Dot Cotton. You need to Google Dot Cotton when we finish this. So she was an old Londoner,
Right.
really, that was in this soap, but she would always have very funny scenes. Like she would always say funny one-liners. So I'd always look out for her in the soaps because I would always think that was always going to be a good funny scene. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah, that's kind of, and then I remember as well, like being very, very young and discovering the show Absolutely Fabulous. Do you know this one? So it's by Jennifer Saunders, who's a really big comedian back in the day. She used to have a show called French and Saunders. So it's like a
Right.
double act. And she did this sitcom about this character that was a very rich PR that lived in Notting Hill, and she just lived a very eccentric lifestyle. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It was comedy, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
drama. And I remember watching this just thinking, this is the funniest thing ever. And that then kind of filled up my comedy cup even more of this is what I really enjoy watching. So yeah, does that answer your question?
It did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It did. It did. It did to an extent. But then it also made me think about the next question, which is, although well, again, like it's been 19 years since you've done the, or like you worked in the, or you've done the job that you're doing now. You're doing now. It must be, it's still because again, although I can see, and based on what we talked about earlier, you have a very like sort of, if you want to do something in life, you should just, do it. Basically, you should go for it. But still, do you feel like scared to an extent, or have you ever since you've decided, ever since you gave in your notice to the moment now? Have you felt scared at any point? How do you deal with it? How do you deal with the sort of, like you're still up for a big change?
Yeah. I think, being somewhere for so long and knowing it inside out, I'm excited to learn something new from scratch.
Right.
And I think there is a big element of fear of the future, but fear of the unknown is wasted. It's still there within
Yeah.
me. It's scary to think what the future will be. But how I kind of am is I use that as fuel of, you're fearful for it, so don't make it fearful when you're in it. Don't fear it happening.
Okay.
But that's, it might be a little bit deeper of just talking myself out of it. And there will be moments now being say like say for instance, if I do a gig that's a
Yeah.
really big gig, there's an element of adrenaline and it's a little bit scary sometimes if you think, I'm not going to forget my blooming words.
Yeah.
There's scariness in that. But the more you do something that's scary, the more you realize actually the thought of it is scarier than the reality of it. And I know, hey, let's be honest, when I leave where I'm working now, as I said earlier, the thought of no paydays is just like, what? But what are you going to do? Make it work. Like, make it bloody work.
Yeah.
So it is scary, but I just kind of, I use it as fuel as be scared. Shit your pants. Like,
Have
what can you
you,
do?
because actually, no, this sounds very similar to something that you said earlier about how, one of the things that you love about London is that it's an
Change.
ever changing,
Yeah.
right? And now you were talking about how, after 19 years, knowing things inside out, you're excited for the change.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're always aware? Were you always aware that that's how you feel about things, or like that's how you interpret life, or is it something that you've came across more recently?
I
Or,
think it's something. I mean, I've always had from a very young age, like from a very early memory, I get bored very quickly, like extremely
right.
quickly. And let's be honest, it's a spectrum thing.
Cool.
And I will try my very best to be, give you my whole attention. But if my mind is elsewhere, I'm bored and I'm checked out.
Right.
And I think it's only now that I realize it's because I really enjoy change. And actually, something that's a little bit too repetitive and, a little bit monotonous. Is that the right word? I think
Mon
so.
I think I
Monotony?
understand monotony, yeah, which is like the same thing, like Groundhog Day, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For some people that's great. It's the routine and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've worked out for me, I really do embrace change, and I actually chase it a little bit, which I didn't realize I did until the past kind of 5 years.
Right, 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 right.
And I think one of the things that kind of triggered that knowledge in me was I was in a relationship for 15 years and we were married,
Right.
not for 15 years. But ending that relationship mutually made me really realize and look back on an element of trying to get somewhere to be comfortable actually bores me.
Right.
So the thought of
Yeah,
change
yeah, yeah.
actually excites me more. And it was, it might sound dramatic and a little bit psychological, but it was my divorce. Stepping away from that relationship made me realize how much I do like change. And I didn't actually realize that until saying it now and you asking it in that way.
Huh. I mean, the thing is, because I actually, oh, it's gonna sound dramatic. I think, again, life, it's a combination of like more and less dramatic stuff anyway. But the way you said it, and again, I think sometimes obviously you do need to have like a key event that unleashes, the said things. And I feel like with the again something else that you said now, which I was like, huh, I get. Oh yeah, when you're talking about the fact that you're just like, okay, that's just the way, that's kind of that's the way I see things. That's the way I prefer to do it because it's good. I think if anything, it's good to recognize that pattern at one point and be like, ah, okay. Because now, I mean, I look at my personal experience, like my past experiences, and thinking, I think I've always been similar to what I am now. It's just that I didn't know, I didn't see it in the same way. But then when I'm like, when I talked about the walking out of jobs and stuff like that, I was like, again, I have done it before. Like I've done things before that now I'm like, oh yeah, that it makes sense.
Mm.
Why? No, it makes sense because obviously it arguably would make sense. But I'm like, to me, it makes sense because I'm like, oh, okay, that's why, because I do this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
or because that's how I think. So now, when you were saying that, after the divorce, you're like, okay, cool. So you know, this is good. And also, I think it's actually sounds quite healthy, by the way, because I knowing a lot of people who have separated and things as such, this is probably one of the healthiest
Yeah.
divorce stories I've ever heard. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
But you know what, you're right. It's I think knowing your character. I think sometimes when you're younger, I say younger, I don't just mean like being little,
yeah,
let's say younger from 30 to 0
yeah,
younger. You do things, and if you were asked why do you do that, you just answer just because.
got
Whereas in your 30 plus years, you can then look back at it. And I only am giving that age as a, I think you need to experience things to look back on. And obviously within your years, there's more experience and knowledge. Um, so not in a patronizing way at all to any of the younger listeners. Um, but I think you need to look back at your character and then understand actually, well, why do I do that? It's never just because.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's the way that we do things. We do things all different. Is it were we taught this? Did we pick this up from someone else? Is it we're actually thinking about what we're doing, or is it that we're not thinking about what we're doing? And actually, you need to get to a point in your life where you look back at your character and actually work out the character that you're playing unintentionally,
yeah.
because we're all really different, but it's all very well judging everyone else, but you need to judge yourself really, which we don't really do. So yeah,
Have you always thought like, have you always thought in this way? Because I think again, I'm a big fan of what you just said.
that's kind. Do you know what I think? I genuinely am interested in the way that we are.
Right,
That's always it's always intrigues me of why you are like you are.
right, right, right.
Curious of where you're from and how you're doing it and why you're doing it. I've always been very curious in that way. But I think it's only really been in the past, let's say 10 years, that I've started to be able to communicate a lot better than what I used to. And that I just mean that from like as in just reading books
Yeah,
or reading up on stuff or watching YouTube videos on things. Um so I think I've always had the thought of the interest, but I've never really known how to talk about it in a way that's understanding. Um
interesting. Okay.
yeah. It's not like a genuine passion that I want to read up on psychologicalness of us all,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it is I'm just curious about people, and I think actually I'm curious about myself for why I am like I am.
Okay.
I am what I am. But yeah, I think it's everyone has a different outlook on it, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that again, it sounds like you've got quite like a philosophical, way of thinking. I don't know if that's intentional or unintentional.
I think it's unintentional actually.
Interesting. That's what I was going to ask you
Yeah,
first. Is like, are you, like, do you combine like philosophy a lot with even like with comedy,
yeah.
or do you actually see it as like, do you see yourself as like two separate entities, where you're like, I'm basically, what was the question? I think, yeah, the question basically was something between the lines.
Yeah,
Is that the sort of like comedy you enjoy, where it's like it's very philosophical, or is actually, just parts about your life where
yeah.
you've got this like deeper understanding,
Mhm.
which actually is quite fascinating. I think to get to the point where you're like, oh, I can actually look into my action, I can actually see into it and be like, okay, I get it.
Mm.
It's actually quite, I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Well, so my style of comedy, my style of stand-up is observational comedy, which is basically all I'm really doing is talking about me being in a situation
Yeah.
and people reacting from it, or the people around me of what they're doing. So actually that's a bit of a psychological analysis because I'm just talking about the way that I am or the way that my friends are.
So you
Um,
see, there is actually quite
there's a
philosophical.
connection
Yeah.
there. Yeah, unintentional again until we're just speaking about it now, and I'm like, oh, okay. Um, but
Because,
yeah,
yeah, sorry, because actually this actually kind of makes sense, because you're like, you've done comedy for 3 years.
mhm,
And then you were talking about like the major event that, it was again 5 years ago, right?
mhm, mhm.
So you see, it's 2 years gap.
Yeah,
There's 2 years. We need to find out what happened.
yeah.
No.
Going to do a deep dive.
And then 10 years ago, you started watching YouTube videos. um,
Mhm,
no, but it's fascinating. Generally, like
mhm.
it's so it's cool as well, because I think it's, again, I think that this sort of, battling the scare of the unknown.
Yeah,
It's something that, because I sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good at it, and then something that I didn't expect happens, and I lose my shit a little bit,
yeah,
and then I'm like, oh, I thought I was good at it. And now to actually speak with someone else who's kind of like, what, it's, again, the perspective is, it's fascinating, because I see what you were saying earlier about the sort of like, some people like the living like in a pattern.
yeah,
And actually I even realized, like, for myself, to an extent, I do like to just wake up at home and, know that I'm just gonna like play around with the kitties. Then I might go out to the gym, or I
mhm,
might go to again do a gig. And that sounds great to me. Like, to have
yeah.
a life like that, oh, beautiful.
Mm.
But then in the other hand, sometimes I do go like, oh, I know what, I need to move countries now. Like, I need to move, like, time's up, let's go.
Yeah,
So yeah, I see it. Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And I wanted to delve into. So you've done, again, like, after you've done, you've what did you study at uni? Was it media related?
I studied media, so it's called Media and Society. I did a
Right,
Bachelor of Science degree.
right. And then
I completely
basically
failed it.
you
I
did.
completely failed it. Yeah, I just couldn't concentrate.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've been working in the industry for.
Well, do you know what I kind of think with media? It's a creative job. I mean, there's lots of different elements of media, but it's a creative job. It's in you to be creative, or it's not. You can teach someone to paint a picture, but is it going to be a good picture? Who knows? Because it's in them
It's
to
yeah,
want to do that.
yeah,
And I
yeah, yeah.
think that's what I worked out studying media.
Right.
Of I would be in the class, I would be in the classes, I just couldn't concentrate, and I would just listen to the teachers, and I just think, if you're telling me about working in TV, why aren't you working in TV? Very arrogant,
With
isn't it?
no, but it's also
Oh,
I've heard it before. Yeah,
yeah. Um, so yeah, no, I failed it. Well, I got a third. Is that a pass? No, it's not.
I don't know.
No, I don't think it is.
Okay,
But sorry, yeah. So
but it doesn't really. I mean, this thing now when you're thinking, oh, again after 19 years of work, you're like,
yeah,
doesn't really like you can look back at your teacher and they're like, oh, we told you you're not gonna pass. Like, yeah, it doesn't really matter,
yeah.
does it?
Do you know what I think as well? Like with some jobs, yes, you need a qualification to get your foot in the door. Let's say accountancy,
Yeah,
doctors, or solicitor, whatever. But there are other jobs where I don't think your grade should determine whether you get an interview or actually get the job. I think it just should be if you completed the course. So if you completed your time, I think that should be a foot in the door moment for lots of people. It shouldn't matter what your end result was.
yeah.
It was just the fact of, did you do it for 3 years? Did you turn up? I think that should be the gauge.
But what, because we were talking about it, and even like beforehand, when I was saying that, because again, in one hand, I do believe in what's the word, meritocracy. It's like, okay, if you're first in class, that's beautiful, well done.
Mm.
You worked for it. But then also, again, I don't think it's the end. Like, it, it has to be seen in and case by case scenario, because you just like you said it before, where it's kind of like you're technically asking kid, or like you're punishing kids for the mistake of being kids
Mm.
at the age that they were kids,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh well, now based on this, then you're going to fail, although say like you're a creative, you're a creative uh person.
Mm.
They'll just be like, yeah, that's it, you haven't passed. And especially I think, yeah, with the creative industry, because I think it's coming back to actually something that you said, I think it's different if you like say you have an architect build a house, and then the architect doesn't know how to draw.
It'd be me doing your house.
So maybe I wouldn't give you that job if
Well,
I'm.
that would just be the person would be deluded if they thought that they could be an architect.
But if it's again something like now we're talking about, like, if anything with media and with like TV comedies, you need that bit of a creativity. You almost like you need someone who, sees the door, and everyone else will just see a straight line between like the couch and the door.
Mhm.
But then you actually get to see someone who goes like, wouldn't it be funny if we actually go through the balcony and
Yeah,
then come the other way?
yeah. And you can't be taught that. I think that's in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yes, that's
yeah,
what I mean. Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
actually, there should be, I think there should be sort of like a realism, or you should be realistic about the fact that there in some industries it's important
Yeah,
because again, like, you don't want you don't want I don't know, like a poet to do your taxes, like, genuinely.
yeah,
Yeah,
completely. Yeah,
but you do want to have a writer who sees things like as outside of the box as possible, and because that perhaps didn't help him not fail in a curriculum.
yeah,
Again, it's tough and it's a bit annoying, and maybe you can be like, you add like a clause in a contract where, like, what, actually, if you are not that good, then you're
mhm.
done. But I think that's with any job, because if you're not performing, and then sometimes it actually feels like, because you get people with like bigger, like, sort of like a stronger educational background, who are actually not that great in a job, but then you'll just give them the chances based on the fact that, oh, but they were good at school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you're looking at their you're judging them on their CV, which you're judging them on a piece of paper,
Yeah,
not as a person in
yeah,
front of you. Have you ever lied on a CV to get a job?
yeah,
Have you?
yeah.
Was it a big lie? Was it a big job?
No. It wasn't a big job. That's
Yeah.
yeah. It was just moving from one
Being an
warehouse,
architect.
yeah, one warehouse to another.
Fine, okay.
Yeah, lifting boxes for Amazon to lifting boxes. No, but no, it was some sort of yeah. I did lie.
But we have to lie sometimes to get what we want because we don't know how to convince the other person to give us the chance. So we have to lie in order for them to go, oh, okay, well, they've got this thing that I'm looking for.
And I think this is again, this is the thing as well, where it's like, if I'd like to think if I go and speak with somebody face to face, I would be like charming enough to score an interview.
Yeah.
For again, and obviously, like in here, I am also talking about, I haven't applied to be a doctor for the NHS,
Mhm.
with and gone on my CV, yeah, performed heart surgery,
Yes.
15, like that's not the case. I'm talking about when I used to be in hospitality. I mean, even for the job that I told you about, but how do you think I got in? Like in my CV, I was like, oh, I worked as a bartender since the age of 12.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Although that's not true. Like I remember when after I got the job, there was this guy who was like, "What's in a cheeseburger?" And I was like,
What's in a cheeseburger?
"Yeah." And I didn't know one because I didn't understand English that well at the
Okay.
time. But then I was like, "Cheese,
Burger.
the burger, bread," and he's like, "The patty," and I was like, "Yeah, the
Oh God,
patty."
that's a bit technical. I wouldn't know
And
that.
so you see this kind of stuff, and I was
Yeah.
like, again, yeah, I did like because I had to go like, are you a head waiter or are you a
Okay.
manager or are you, uh,
Do you know what you were doing, Libby? You were doing improvisation
yeah,
from a
I was
young age.
projecting.
From a young age, you were improvising, and that's why you are a great stand-up now.
Yeah, well, but again, that's the thing. Actually, I've never, and I think it kind of shows when you find the job that you actually like and you love. Because I realized I haven't. Again, I've lied in CVs for like day jobs and stuff that I didn't really care about
Yeah,
more than I
not
need
not
money.
career,
Yeah, I need
just for a
money
job.
exactly.
Yeah,
Whilst now, when I actually think about stand, I think if anything, I have I despise many people who are actually who have lied in their like stand-up CVs or who are trying to um basically like be what facetious
okay,
with
sure.
stuff like that,
Yeah,
because I'm like no, this is like I'm working hard and
yeah,
I'm genuinely working hard
yeah,
rather than just going like, yeah, I have opened for Dave Chappelle.
yeah.
um
I suppose in a way, like no one could ask him, could they?
there
But
you
no, we
go.
shouldn't lie. We shouldn't lie.
Yeah,
We're not encouraging lying. No, but honesty is the best policy. But sometimes you've got to fudge the figures to get what you want if you know that you're good.
yeah.
You're good at it. Because like I said, you've got to convince a stranger to to believe in you when they don't know who you
Well,
are.
you see, this is another thing as well, where it's kind of again, I'm not talking about, and like, I do feel like there is a massive difference between lying
Mm.
about something that you have never done or touched before, and then just being like, oh, I was in this role, and I kind of like, so I used to have this thing where I was like, I looked after the stock, and well, technically I did because I was a bartender at some point.
Okay.
I wasn't in charge,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
my CV will sound as if I was the one doing the orders, but I wasn't. I was probably just the guy who was like, "Oh, make sure you order another
Yeah.
couple of bottles,"
Hmm.
So that's the extent that I talk to. I'm not gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I worked here and there and I've done all these things." No, it's more to just go like, "Oh, the role, like I don't know, they want me to have experience in that." And I'll give that one example when I had some kind of experience, but that's also because I believe that I can do that
That's it.
when shit hits the fan, like if I have to do it.
You believe you could do it
Yeah.
completely. And do you know what, as well, I'm a really big believer of if you don't big yourself up, no one else is going to big yourself up for
Yeah.
you. So you big yourself up.
And I think especially again with like because with job interviews and anything like this, because I think yeah, even in personal life to an extent,
Mhm.
obviously I feel like it's different. You don't want to again lying about like your lived experiences, but like yeah, you gotta again yeah, you just gotta. I think it's good to be like that kind of healthy type of like selfishness where you're like
Yeah.
you're selfish in the respects that you gotta look after yourself.
Yeah.
Like I always think that it's nice for a whole as a society to look after each other,
Mhm.
but first you gotta look after you, because like if you don't look after yourself, how
Completely.
can you look after
So there's the age-old example, isn't there, of when you're on the plane and they're giving you the safety
yeah
announcement and they say, your mask will fall ahead. put yours on first before you put someone else's on.
Yeah.
If you put theirs on, then you'll be buggered,
Yeah.
so it's that's not a selfish way of being. It's just, well, who's going to look after you?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you get
Yeah,
to be how do you call it, to be like helpful to society, you gotta first look after yourself, because then after
exactly.
that you can bring the said value. Or it's the same, I think, with like, even like charity giving as well. You gotta make sure that you are the
Yeah,
one who's first,
you can
looked
eat.
after, and then whatever you can afford you would
Totally.
give away, not kind of like putting yourself in the position of
Yeah.
struggle, because that's technically, again, you're not helping. If anything, you're making it worse, because then
Mm.
now, God forbid, something can happen to you.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna be gone, and here goes a good person.
Yeah. And then you won't then be able to donate to that charity for the long run.
Yeah,
So actually they're then suffering as well.
there you go. So you see that this kind of stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and in that respect. So anyway, to come back to circle back, I have lied in my CV.
Fine. Okay.
Have you?
I'm okay with that as well.
Okay. Have you lied?
On a CV,
Yeah.
um, God, yeah,
Yeah. There you go.
totally. I used to do this thing. I mean, I've not applied for a job in 19
Yeah.
years, but I used to do this thing whenever I was going for a job, and I would always usually get the job, let's be honest. I would always put down places that I had worked before that I knew had closed down, because then they definitely couldn't
Yeah, yeah,
count.
yeah.
So places that existed, but just not anymore.
I mean, I used to do this. I turned it into a joke at some point, and I'm still, maybe I bring it back because I haven't thought about it in years. But the best thing was when I came from Romania, I used to just go like, "Oh, I worked at like so and so," and the phone number was like my mom's. Because who's gonna call in Romania from,
Okay.
like I'm.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, that's obviously because I did tell you about the time when I had a bit of like a rough work and like life history. And then I'm talking about after that, when I was like the gap in my CV between the age of 16 when I dropped school to 18, I'd just be like, yeah, I did this thing at the job. And I remember the manager of like the reference was a fake name. I
Okay.
was just like a Romanian, like a super Romanian name.
Yeah.
And I was like, the email address was like Romanian first name, Romanian last name
Oh,
at
yeah, that was made up.
yahoo.com. Yeah, yeah. And I would like make that email, I would have that email address.
That's really lying, Levy.
I know, but all I'm saying is, again, because I was like, you know what, it's who's gonna. I've never got someone emailing that email address. I've
Yeah.
never got like that was actually because it was my spam email. Like it would be my spam. Like I didn't make it for the purpose of the CV.
Yes.
Those would be my spam email addresses,
Got it.
and I'll just be like, yeah, there you go. And then my phone number would be like my mom's Romanian phone number,
Yeah.
or like my sister's Romanian phone number, and I'm like, yeah, call them.
Would they ever get a phone call to
No,
say
never.
no?
So you see, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But I've done stuff like
Yeah.
that.
We all have a little
Yeah.
a little fib.
And I was like, oh, at 16, I run a very successful corporation. No, it was what that. No,
Scamming people.
well, this is the thing, because technically, I worked from the age of 14 for my dad's accounting firm. So I was doing like bookkeeping, but very entry level. But then, when I started applying for like hospitality jobs and stuff like this, all of a sudden I was like, from the age of 14, I've been waiting tables in some of the most liveliest places. Yeah, which means that there were more than 5 people at a given time in this. Yeah, so but also, again, during the summer I used to um help with like the weddings, because I know Romanian weddings are like a day long. So
Okay.
you'd like start like you'd work for like 30 hours straight. And I used to do that over the summer sometimes because it was good money.
So sorry, if you got married, it would be a whole day
Yeah,
of
of
wedding.
events. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you start like early in the morning. Usually you go to the registry first.
Yeah.
Then you'd have your religious ceremony.
Okay.
And then you'd have the party. But the party would start from like early evening until next day morning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you'd sometimes like have like newlywed couples, not even just like sneaking out for like some, the first like sexy time.
Mm.
They will just like sneak to go and like sleep for a couple hours and then come back. Yeah.
Such a full day.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We used to have that a lot. We used to have like there was a room, because again I was just like working like once in a while,
Yeah.
because I knew the owners, and they would just have a room upstairs just for,
They could have a little nap.
yeah, they could have a little nap.
I did
And
go now.
yeah, and sometimes they would go like one at a time as well. It's like basically like the groom would stay on the floor
Yeah,
and like stay with the
hosting.
guests
Yeah.
and chit-chatting and stuff, and the missus would go and sleep, and then she would come down and he would go and sleep.
Gosh, it's such a long day.
Fun though, and
Yeah.
yeah, we used to. Oh God, we used to get like all this like extra like amount of booze and stuff like that. We used to sell it to truck drivers who were in the yeah. It was wild. It was fun. It was fun. It was a great time.
Mm,
I don't even know why I did it because I was doing some other things at the time. Like I did. It wasn't because I needed the money.
yeah.
It was more just because it was kind of like
You love weddings.
no. It was just cool to say that oh yeah I've done that or like how I have a job.
Okay.
But like I'm doing that for a bit of extra cash.
Mm,
But then it wasn't like yeah, because when I was actually telling you earlier about my gambling addiction,
hmm.
I had the only reason why I gambled because I had nothing else to do with the money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's like what are you gonna do?
What am I going to do with that?
Yeah,
God, what a good position to be in.
I know. This is the thing actually. Because I'm trying like at the age of 14, I used to smuggle cigarettes from Ukraine and had a little like network business, and it was the I was the healthiest financially I've ever been
Oh,
in my
really? When you were
entire
young?
life.
Really?
And I gave that up for an honest life. And I'm like, I think that was like one of the dumbest decisions I've ever. Like sometimes that's one of the things I look
Reverse.
back and I'm like, you know what? I just could have been a little smuggler back home and have a much simpler life than
Oh,
now. But I don't think I would have been as happy, and I wouldn't be.
you'd always be wanting something else, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I
You
feel
know what I
like
mean? We always do, wherever we
yeah,
are.
yeah,
Mm,
I feel like that's one big thing as well,
yeah.
where it's like yeah, I think every time I look into, because actually I remember speaking, I don't know if maybe you've seen, you've got this situation. I was speaking with someone from America for a podcast actually, and then they were kind of talking about how much they would rather not be in America, and I was like, bro, I would love to
Oh,
be in
wow.
America,
Okay. Yeah.
but it's also as a Romanian, I have like as a Romanian born in the 90s, I have such a weird obsession and love for America that's not, it's inexplicable. I just love
What's that
America.
from, like film? And
I think so, yeah, growing up, like,
yeah,
because everything, like, the good stuff was American stuff.
yeah.
Like, America, best country in the world, number one
It,
country.
you know, I agree with you, actually. I remember in secondary school, all of the kids were obsessed with wanting to go and live in America.
Yeah,
And I was always intrigued with New York, and I love New York a lot. Um, but isn't it funny how it's advertised, like packaged to us as the
yeah.
greatest city, the greatest country in the world?
Because I think, again,
Like,
historically, it was kind of like what? It was the country of, like, the second chances, right? And
yeah,
because it was built basically, like, on immigration. Like, lots
yeah.
of people would go there.
They've called it the land of hope. Is that what
The
they said?
yeah the home of the no well yeah land of hope, home of the land of the free,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was also based on the fact that there were people who were going from really bad like sociological backgrounds,
Hmm.
and that was their second chance on, oh, rather than being like poor as fuck in Romania, you
Hmm.
can have a fresh new start
Yeah.
in America, and you can be your own
Mm.
boss, you can do all these things, and then you went obviously from that to being on the winning side of the ball, both world wars, and
Mm.
obviously I think with Britain, actually the difference between Britain and America was that in Britain everything seemed, at least from the outside, everything seemed like in Britain there is a certain, like, the ladder is very clear. This is the ladder. These are the steps on the ladder. Whilst in America it was kind of like you can go from literally like from toilet cleaner to CEO,
Okay, right.
because you
You
because
could.
yeah you could, yeah,
Okay,
because it's
with
the
you.
is the, again is the land of the
Yeah,
free.
yeah, okay.
Like if
I got
you
that.
if you have the right vision, if you do the right thing, then because in Britain everything is more like calculated. It's a bit more like
Yes.
in order, because again it's an old country,
Hmm. Hmm.
so the order has been there forever. Whilst in America it's still new, it's young, it's
Yeah.
and then yeah, I think that was the thing. And again, with it winning the both world wars, again it was always like the enemy, because I remember Rocky Balboa was my hero.
Mhm.
So you
I've
always
never
had
seen Rocky.
you had USA versus Russia. You had
Yeah.
the freedom versus communism and all this kind of stuff, which kind of like like I remember. I generally think the only time when things got slightly conflicting in my household was when the NATO bombed Yugoslavia.
Okay.
Like they bombed like Serbia because of what Serbia was doing to Bosnia and
Hmm.
Kosovo and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I that's when I was like, oh, fuck America, but only for a little bit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because then
Okay.
we were like, nah, actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Long live America.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I grew up in that weird, but I don't see it with my nephew or my niece. I think it's gone.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
that age that was like that. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a bit of trivia in case you do a very specific type of pub quiz.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I've taken notes.
But you know, again, I'm very conscious with time because I think you've got something happening later.
I have indeed. How long have we been doing this for?
An hour and a half.
Really?
Yeah,
God, I hope it's been interesting. Has it been interesting?
to me, yes. I don't know about no. I meant in the respect of I
Good.
can't
Okay.
I can't guess to the listeners.
Yes.
I don't know what it was like for
They
you,
agree with you.
but to me, I
They agree.
actually I had a great time.
Good. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you need to quickly ask me? Is there a quick round at the end of questions?
No, no,
Okay.
no. Generally, no, there isn't. I was trying to think of anything that would be like fitting, but the problem is, I feel like we've literally like without even expecting, we spent like what 45 minutes
We've
on London,
we've been a long time, which
and
is
so
chatterboxes.
yeah, which is good, and that's why I'm like, you know what, I can't think of anything that's like
Yeah.
quick, give me an answer
Fine. Okay.
without delving into something else. But look, the thing is, I'm very grateful that you have taken the time to do this. Um, I had a great time. I hope and I wish you the very best in your new because again it's not technically on your
Chapter.
explain yeah on your updated version of your
Sure, I like
journey
that. Yeah.
or chapter. Yeah, that's actually
Mhm.
I don't want to say better, but good as
Mhm.
well. But yeah, no, I wish you yeah so much luck with that, and I hope I want to have you back on, and I'd love to do this again because I feel like there is. I'm sure after once we end, I'll be like, oh fuck, I should have
You
asked you.
thought of something.
Yeah, but look, if you actually the last question always is, where do people find your work? Where are you most active, like social media wise? And yeah, that's it.
Do you know what? That's really kind to you for you to say all those things. That's really, and I'm so pleased to be here on your podcast. I really am. When I leave here, I would like you to delete my number, and I will block you. Jokes.
Perfect.
So I do Instagram. I'm not very good at it. I mean, hey, we're learning. I am Jonathan Gramin, and people think that Gramin is my surname, as you would, but it's just because Jonathan Rudge was already taken. So it's Jonathan Gramming on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok as well, which is Jonathan TikToking. And you'd think that that was my surname, but it's not.
It's because
um, but yeah, those are the main things. I don't have a website. I don't have a mailing list. But yeah,
YouTube. Do you do YouTube?
I don't have a YouTube. No,
Okay, I
I
was just
mean
curious.
I watch it if that's what you're asking me. But no, I don't have my own one. No,
No, okay.
not yet. Maybe you planted an idea.
Yeah, you should do it. I love it. I think it's again, I don't think many people love it, but I
Do you
do.
put so you put the episodes up on YouTube, right?
Yeah, everywhere.
Yes, because I listened to our lovely friend Karina's one the other day, and that was on YouTube, wasn't it?
That's everywhere.
Yes,
Honestly,
indeed.
it's all over I think even on the dark web. If there was a way
Oh,
to.
okay. I'm not on there.
No, but I'm saying if there was a way to put it, I would upload.
Fine, okay.
Yeah, it might change some lives, you know. Anyway, thank you so much again.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Levin.
look after yourself. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
So, was it good? Was it what you hoped for? Was it better? Was it worse? Again, I'm mindful of the fact that I have messed up massively and the sound quality is not good. But did you enjoy the content? Did you enjoy the conversation? Because I haven't felt so, happy with the way an episode has been going and the things that we decided to talk about and things as such for a while. And that's not no shade on my previous guests because again, it's ultimately something to do with me and the way I ask the questions and anything like that. So basically the reason why I said this is just because I genuinely had a great time recording. Um, and you can actually even imagine how heartbreaking it was to realize that I've forgot to plug the fucking mics in the interface into the computer, into the laptop. But I've also, hopefully that shows you and tells you why, having listened to it tells you why I've decided to still get the episode out there and why I wanted you to listen to it, you know. And I'm very grateful for anyone who took the time and perhaps had to do the extra little bit of attention paying to make sure that they hear everything. And I appreciate you. And I have already spoken with Jonathan, as I've messaged him not long after he left, telling him what happened and why we had these struggles. Not that because he wasn't speaking in the mic or anything like this. And I will try to get him back. I want to speak with him again anyway, because I just had a great time, and I feel like there were a lot more things that we could have covered. And yeah, I hope you stick around and listen to the next episode, which is also going to be a very good one. And check out Jonathan's work and look after yourselves. And from me, Pickle and Sarma, until next time, stay skillful. Goodbye.